Hello and welcome to the sideboard here in St. Louis, well, Collinsville, Indiana, your hometown. This is Will Dean, everybody.
Hello.
And he's brought something very interesting to the table, a deck that sort of broke out at Pro Tour Dragon's Maze. In fact, the name of the album being Maze, and you brought Maze's End to the Standard tournament.
I did.
Tell me a little bit about why you decided to bring Maze's End combo, basically, control, to the Standard tournament.
Well, in the meta right now, there's a lot of heavy aggro and heavy control, and I kind of got tired of my creatures getting board sweeped. So I figured I'd run something that had no creatures in it, and what better than Maze's End? No one expects it.
Sure. Now, Maze's End, for those of you that are unfamiliar, it's a little bit Thawing Glaciers, a little bit alternate win condition. It's a card advantage engine in and of itself that also happens to just be, you don't have to run any more win conditions.
Right.
But you do. Because in Standard, as opposed to Block, there isn't really a great way to destroy lands in Block. There's things like Destroy the Evidence in Block, which doesn't do anything. In Standard, we have Acidic Slime, which is a much bigger problem. And so you have some alternate win conditions in case your Maze's End gets blown up. The most notable of which being Crackling Perimeter.
Yes.
So Crackling Perimeter allows all of your gates, of which you run 20. He runs 20, or 2 of each gate, to be able to have basically a Koth emblem for your gates.
Yep.
And you decided to run Crackling Perimeter as your win condition. Why did you do that?
Really, I was just looking at the gates in the Maze's End and flipping through the cards that were online, and I saw them had 2. I thought, why not tap my lands and make opponents lose a life?
Absolutely, and it's also a great way to deal with Planeswalkers. You can just take out pretty much any Planeswalker because they're not going to have more than 5, let alone 10 if you have 5 lands in play. But you do it on your upkeep and the next turn. And so it's a great way to keep Planeswalkers under control, which this type of deck typically has a problem with.
Yes.
The third win condition, of course, Door to Nothingness. Just in case they gain infinite life and destroy all your Maze's End, you can kick them out the door.
Yep.
You have a couple creatures in this deck, 2 Cerulli Gatekeepers to be able to draw cards, as well as Think Twice and Prophetic Prism to be able to keep filling up your hand. You also have Gatecreeper Vines, another card advantage engine that allows you to fix your mana.
Yep.
And Gateway Shade. Now, Gateway Shade's a little bit of a weird choice to me. Talk to me about why you decided to go with Gateway Shade.
Well, it's a 1/1 for 3, but when you tap a land for it, you can beef it by +2/+2.
Right, any of your lands.
Any of my lands, yes, because they're all gates.
Sure.
And so it can get very big very quickly.
What's the biggest Gateway Shade you've had?
17/17.
That's a big guy. Wow, that's pretty good. So the meat and potatoes of the deck this is a fog deck.
Yes, it is.
You have, looks like 4, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 fogs. And of varying types. There's a couple interesting choices here. One of them's Terrifying Presence. Why did you decide to go with Terrifying Presence as one of your fogs?
For the most part, Terrifying Presence, I can pick whatever creature has Summoning Sickness and say that's the only creature that can do damage, or if I have a creature back, I can...
if you happen to have like Gatecreeper in play, sure.
All 0 damage that it does in combat.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And if you get to do it with your Gateway Shade that's a 17/17, then all the better.
Yes.
Sure. You're also running 4 Terminus. Now, Terminus is a card that's sort of fallen off the radar in general, but with the return of junk aristocrats to the front, Terminus is way better than Supreme Verdict in the current metagame. Was that something that you had? Did you originally have Supreme Verdicts, or were they always Terminus?
They were always Terminus.
Yeah.
I had a lot of issues with, after everyone dropped their hand, it was really hard for me to kind of make sure the fogs kept flowing. And so I found that Terminus was just that perfect way. Put it all on the bottom, and if you're running Advent of the Worm, puts the Worm token on the bottom.
Yeah, it doesn't trigger Blood Artist.
Right.
Ferals can't live through it.
Right.
Yeah, and Doom Traveler and Voice of Resurgence, obviously being big deals, don't come back. Same with Young Wolf. So very, very powerful effect in Terminus. Very good in the current metagame. Along with Pillar of Flame. Now, I wanted to ask you about Pillar of Flame because I find that the 2 sorceries that fit in this metagame the best are Terminus and Pillar of Flame. Is Pillar of Flame just too low impact for this deck?
Definitely.
Okay.
There's a lot of aggro. Even the control decks will sit there and make spirit tokens and stuff.
Sure.
So that 1 pillar is not really going to do a whole lot. In a fog deck, I'd rather have an extra fog.
Fair enough. Yeah, Pillar's a lot better. Pillar's a lot better in a Snapcaster Mage deck,
yes.
I guess, and also a lot better when you're trying to set up racing situations. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so the main deck very interesting. We could talk about the main deck all day. Let's go to the sideboard. Equally interesting. We have Cerulli Gatekeepers as a 4-of in the sideboard. That card was on no one's radar before the Pro Tour. Suddenly, everyone's playing a Heroes Reunion attached to a Pillar Field Ox at the Pro Tour. I assume it's in your sideboard for the exact same reason, to be able to fend off aggro decks. And obviously, with 20 gates, you're almost never. I can't imagine a situation where you wouldn't have 2 gates in play.
Exactly.
You have Witchband Orb, that's somewhat self-explanatory for things like Rakdos Return. Notion Thief, also somewhat explanatory for things like Sphinx's Revelation, as we saw on camera a couple weeks ago. But there are a couple other choices that are a little interesting to me. Reverberate. Now, what's Reverberate for?
It's a really fun turn 7 since my gates come in tapped. When they Sphinx's Revelation for 3, I Notion Thief and then Reverberate it.
I see.
So that way I draw 6 and gain 3 life, and they just gain 3 life.
Fair enough. I like that. So you've also got Greenside Watchers in the sideboard. Now, what are those for?
If I do run into some acidic slime and I'm worried about them blowing up my Maze's End, I can use them as a little bit more ramp to untap my gates as they come out and get to Door to Nothing or one of my other win conditions a little bit faster.
Sure, and the Prophetic Prisms, I assume, come in when you need more mana requirements like Reverberate.
Right.
When you need to be hitting exact colors.
Yes.
Sure.
I'm having issues finding green for the fog.
Absolutely. So you're 1-0 now. You won your first game with Maze's End. You won your second game with Crackling Perimeter in impressive fashion. And I'm going to be keeping my eye on you all day because this is a ton of fun to watch. And it's good. Is the other thing. It's not just fun. It was clearly very good for this metagame. And great read on the metagame. And good luck to you going forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming over to the sideboard.